Hello and welcome, Jake here for redlinemotorsport.co.uk. Welcome to join us here for some Assetto Corsa Competizione. This will be Tier 3, this is going to be round 5 at the beautiful track of Misano. We will shortly be commencing a half-an-hour qualifying session, followed by a 60-minute race. Looks like it should be an interesting race today as conditions are looking a bit damp throughout practice, with just a couple of minutes to go until qualifying. Just up on screen at the minute we have the current standings for Tier 3 with Alessandro Porta leading the way marginally over Stefano Zero, who had a great win last week at Paul Ricard, and followed by Marco Ripper. So we will jump in and watch these guys as they're about to start their qualifying session. Little scrabble there as they make it out of the pits. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for the guys today. Looking at these conditions, look like they're going to stay with us, as that's what we've got now for qualifying. And they have had this through all of practice so far, so at least they've had a little while to acclimatise to the conditions. Just 17 drivers in currently. Hopefully we shall see those numbers rise as qualifying goes on. As I do apologise for the mistake, it's only 15 minutes qualifying, a quick, short, sharp sprint qualifying session. So these early laps will really be key, especially if conditions start to worsen as the qualifying goes on, as the rain does seem to be coming down quite hard today. As I was saying, last week we had a great finale towards the end of the race between our second place man Stefan Zero and Ismail, who is currently still in the pits, who was leading the majority of the race, sort of 75% of the race. Ismail really disappeared early on, getting a great pole position, and Zero had a really good battle with sort of second, third and fourth positions, finally making his way past after a good pit stop strategy to get himself out in the lead after the pit stops, and went hunting down after Ismail. It took him a while, but in the end he managed to catch him right towards the last sort of 5-6 laps of the race, managing to get past and take the win. So eyes will be on him today to see if he can repeat that, because that has bumped him up in the second position in the championship, only 6 points I believe off our leader, which is Alessandro Porta, who did a great job on Monday in the Porsche Cup, winning that race. A really good session on Monday. Myself and Ryan commentated on that, and we'll be looking to do the same today if he can. Currently on board with Stefano Cinappi in the Porsche, a car that takes some level of control in the dry, so it'll be interesting to see how he does with that in the damp conditions. I'm going to jump over board to Stefan. Definitely one of the cars to watch today, I reckon. The pace he showed us last week. What we'll do is we'll jump on board and see what sort of view we've got from the driver's perspective. Yeah, it's going to be a really tricky race for him today with these conditions. The curbs and those painted lines are going to be extra slippery. They're going to have to watch out for them, and there's definitely places where you really do need to use the curbs around this Misano circuit. So we shall see. I'm sure they're still going to use them because they're going to want to make the track as wide as possible, but they're just going to have to be careful with them. Yeah, you see, you've got to use them around this track. I'm afraid that's just the nature of this sort of fast circuit places. You can see someone there going off just ahead. Back at the understeers, Stefan's getting through the right-hander there, coming off that fast right-hander section there. Last couple of corners now, coming around to the start finish. One more corner to go. So he's really struggling for traction and grip. So this is first lap. So 1 minute 43.4. That So in a provisional pole to Tommy, just 0.3 behind. Ripper, a couple of tenths behind that. Still plenty of time to see the order swap. I'm sure that time won't stand. The guys slowly get a feel for how conditions are today. Here's the guy that led the race for so long last 2 weeks ago, just showing us how hard it is, especially in that rear engine car, the Porsche. Cannot be the easiest thing to drive around this circuit. Great car control, not to lose it completely, still able to carry on and line himself up for another go. We'll follow on board with him for this lap and see if he manages to control this beast around this wet, damp circuit Misano today. See him staying well clear of the curbs there. Turn 2. Here will be interesting because usually a fair bit of curb use here, but slow speed. Yeah, staying clear of the inside curb there, just a little bit through that section, needing to take quite a chunk there though to open the line out onto this first long straight here. Looks very tentative today. It's going to take a lot of control from these drivers to get around this circuit for an hour today. We're going to see quite a few drivers off in the grass and in the barriers, I would assume. This is the section he struggled with last time round. And again, I think he downshifted through that section, just locking the rears up. It'd probably be better to stay in that gear until he just straightens the steering up, because it's just locking the rear axle too much. Shame he'll have to try again. We expect to see good things from him though. Now watching the car of Tommy, currently in 5th position with a 1:43.7. Just 2/10 off our leader, which is still Stefan out in front with a 1:42.5. Sorry, he's dropped that to 1:42.5, so he has found a fair bit more time. I do apologise for that. He's increased his time by, I believe, over a second. It was 43s they were doing last time. Looks like Tommy might encounter a little bit of traffic here. This could really disrupt his lap this time around. Quite a few drivers up ahead. He may have to back off this lap, try and find himself a little bit of space. With only 6 minutes left, you can't be affording to constantly get held up by back markers. You see the Audi may be kind to him, seeing that he's on a hot lap, and let him by, but he's not obliged to. Yeah, very kind of him there to let Tommy through. Just improvement by Tommy there. And about a half second off his original time, now on a 1:43.1, putting up to 4th position, so it's good improvement for Tommy. As we see our championship leader, Alessandro Porta, has managed to get his way up to 3rd position with a 1:43.1, just 3 thousandths faster than what Tommy did. So fairly tight up there for these guys. We see Stefan Zero increase the marker even further with a 1:41.8, putting him 1 second clear of 2nd place. That's a really nice buffer to have at this point. There's still 5 minutes left to go. That'll really allow him to feel the freedom to really push now and see if he can further extend that quali time. Shame we're still seeing Ismail down in 13th position in the Porsche. He did an outstanding job at Paul Ricard in the last round. Hopefully we'll see him improve his time, but the Porsche showing to be a hard car to handle in these wet conditions today. Looks like Stelos has got himself up to 2nd position with a 1:42.8. The only guy that has gone sub 43 so far, apart from Zero. Marco Ripper has now got himself up to 5th position with a 1:43.4, closely followed by Michael Springer with a 1:43.5. Just 1/10 behind that, Marco Ricci, 1:43.6. So it's looking really close in the midfield. Just a half a second covering sort of 7 or 8 drivers in that mid-pack, so hopefully we'll see a really good race from those guys. But if qualifying's anything to go by, someone's really going to have to step up and find some pace to keep up with Stefan today. Now we do see Tommy has made an improvement there. He has put himself up into 3rd position. Just an small improvement by just about a 1/10 of a second, but able to nab him just 1 more position. Good timing there for Alessandro, not to get slowed up by the driver sliding across the track there, just showing us how hard it is today to master these damp conditions. Looks like Stefano Ginappi has moved himself up into 5th position, currently 1:43.3. Great lap by him, put him up in the top 5. Looks like Stefan, our P1 leader, is currently in the pits now, so whether he feels he's done all he can or he's changed his tyre for one last go at it, I would think he would be more than safe with at least a front row position now, as has Tommy. We see one of the drivers disqualified. That is Ismail. Guy we saw do so well in last round's race, Paul Ricard. He's got himself disqualified for driving the wrong way on track. I'm sure that was not intentional. These wet conditions easily find yourselves pointing the wrong way. On board here with Manos. Currently best of a 1:43.9 on his last lap. Slightly up on last time, looking to improve, seeing if he can push his way up the order just slightly. A couple of 10ths would see him climb another position. Looks like he may have found a little bit more towards that end of that lap as well. Yeah, great lap by Manos there, pushed his way up to 6th. Great improvement that lap. Found sort of 6-7 tenths in that last sector of the circuit. Great time to do it, just 1 more go. Can he find any more? Looking like many of the guys are making massive improvements at the minute. We jump on board with Marco, because Marco seems to be about a half second up on his best so far. Just a couple of corners to go. Slightly lost some of that. Maybe a couple of tenths improvement. Could see him jump a position. No, not quite able to do it this time around. Marco Winkler. Currently P14 on a 144.8. Also a couple of tenths up at this point. Still a way for him to go yet though. Hopefully you can see a little bit more improvement from him. The only other driver currently on quite a quick lap is Alessandro Porter. Our championship leader is sort of 3 tenths up on his best so far. Looks like Marco Ripper was able to improve and puts himself in a second place with a 142.6. Great lap from him, but quickly denied by our championship leader Alessandro Porta. Puts himself into P2, beating Marco by just a tenth with a 142.5. Great time to put that lap in by our championship leader. Marco here still looking to be slightly up on his best. You should soon see whether he's been able to keep that advantage. Yeah, 2 tenths, just that one more position gain for him. Marco feeling that lap wasn't going to be an improvement. That looks like the end of it now. And Stefan Zero showing us why he done so well and won the race last time out with a 141.8. The only guy to get under that 42 bracket. So great job by Stefan there, taking P1. Alessandro taking P2 and Marco taking P3. Bit of a gap between some of the guys up the top, a bigger delta between them, but midfield is looking really close and we should see a great battle from these guys.
Alright, there is some rain in this session, so watch out for slippery curves and remember to brake earlier.
So 5 minutes for the guys to make sure everything's ready for the race, fuel's topped up, chose the right settings. Any last tweaking before they go out, anything they learned from qualifying, now is the time to make those changes. Seeing what Stefan was able to do last time out, I'd be hard man to bet against him, especially seeing the times he was posting in qualifying. But qualifying is only a small percentage of the whole race weekend. Obviously points are handed out for qualifying, points are for the race. We saw him do a great job last time out at Paul Ricard, but this is another day, another track, and some really tricky conditions. So with the championship leader alongside him on the front row, we should see a great race, because I'm sure, knowing the gap on the championship points is ever decreasing, Alessandro will be wanting to try as hard as possible to stop Zero gaining on him today. Before we get on today, I will jump back over to here and you'll be able to see the current championship points. And there you see just a 6-point advantage for Alessandro at the minute. And Stefan 3 points advantage over Marco, so it's still really close up the front. Still anyone's game at this point. Nice to see that nobody's pulling away with the championship lead so early on. We're still a fair few races to go yet in season 3. Season 2, I mean. Just ignore what I said there, sorry about that. But our real loser for today is Ishmael, down in last place, currently 17th position on the grid. We saw him take the qualifying at Paul Ricard and lead probably 80-85% of the race with a fairly decent lead as well. Looks like he was having a fair bit of issue with the fast right-handers towards the back section of the circuit. That rear engine Porsche with all the weight over that back axle was finding quite hard to get through those fast speed right-handers, and do wonder, though we didn't see it, if that was where he had the issue, but unfortunately got disqualified for an infringement and he will have to start from the back. We know the guy's got pace and we'll be interested to see him. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the race to see what sort of advantage he can gain himself throughout the race. Just a minute and a half to start here now. Definitely looks like the wet conditions are here to stay. It should bring up some interest in racing, as mistakes will be plenty in these conditions, so consistency really will be key to here today, and not making any mistakes is going to make a big difference come the end of the race. Just 10 seconds to go now. I think if I had to put my money down on anyone today, I think any betting man would have to go for Stefan Zero in pole position. But I do hope I am wrong and that Alessandro can give him a good fight for the win today. Looks like they all got off the grid okay. I would normally say this is the time for the guys to weave around, hard braking, try and keep some tyre temperature in those tyres and brakes, but I would have thought that is going to be quite hard for the guys today with these wet conditions. There's not going to be a lot of temperature in that tarmac, and you definitely do not want to be doing any heavy weaving down the straights because you could find yourself in a barrier before the race even starts. Let's hope no one is tempted to do anything foolish and that they all make it around for the start of the race. So you can see a few guys just weaving a little bit there, but nothing to this sort of dramatic weaving you would see in the dry conditions. I've seen too many mistakes so far in season 2. Some people making mistakes on the formation lap, giving themselves a chance to race. Almost there now. Just the last part of the track to navigate. As we've just come around some of those fast right-handers where we've seen Seeing fair few drivers, that has been the point where I think we're going to see mistakes coming from today. Usually in the dry, you wouldn't see anyone really having any issues around there, but these wet conditions, having to use those wet curbs to be able to carry the sort of speed you want through there, that is where the danger lies, is over the curbs and painted lines, extra slippery in these conditions. Good to see the leader backing off there, letting all the others catch up, and we can all get nicely into double file. Just jump back to make sure everyone's in line. Yeah, pretty much almost everyone is there now. See, we're going to jump back up to our leaders for the start of the race. Now it's a right-hander first turn, so this could favour Porter a little bit, but goes straight into another left-hander, so we shall see. Good start by Stefano as he's got a good drag off the line. Looks to be clear here into turn one. Leaves Alessandro a bit of space. Good to see so far. Everyone looks to be giving a good load of respect to each other. We don't want to see any incidents early on. Oh, big kick of oversteer for Alessandro there, P2. A little bit of breathing space for our leader, Stefan. As we see there, it looks like Tommy's losing control slightly in the background. Managed to keep it going. It was a couple of bits of contact there. Hopefully didn't cause anyone else too much issues. Looks like everyone's still going fairly well. Yeah, it looks like everyone's still going. No, so everyone's still pointing in the right direction, thank God. It's a great start by Zero here. Got himself a bit of a gap into the first turn, nice and clear. Left a little bit of room on the inside just to be respectful to Alessandro, just in case he had a small lock up with the brakes being a bit cold at the start of the race. But quickly he's got his foot down, got himself a few car lengths advantage already, and I'm sure he will get straight up to racing pace rather quickly today, as he'll want to do. I want to do it a little bit different this week, as he was on the chase and battling hard pretty much all race long at round 4 Paul Ricard. This time he's the man in the driving seat out front, and he'll be wanting to pull away and hopefully give himself a bit of an easier time today. But with the conditions, it's going to be a hard job. You've got to balance trying to push too hard and keeping your pace up at the same time and not making any mistakes. So it's going to be a hard race, even though it's not quite as long as the Paul Ricard race, only an hour today. It's one of the sprint races here today at Misano instead of the endurance hour-and-a-half races like we had last time out at Paul Ricard. Looks like Alessandro has just sort of managed to regain his composure. His car looked a little bit squirrely through the first few corners. Jump down mid-pack here. This is where I expect to see a fair bit of action today. There's a lot of people really close times. We've got Tommy there down in P10, who was P4 I believe on the grid, so we know he's got a bit more pace in him. We saw a big snap of oversteer from him early on, but thankfully still pointing in the right direction. But he's got a bit of work to do today to now make up those positions he's lost. There, Niall, lovely little cheeky opportunistic dive there to the inside with the door open. I don't think Marco was expecting that one. Lovely move there by Tommy, great to catch that on board. Like I say, he's got a lot of work to do, and he's already at it, trying to make up those positions that he lost in that little moment he had early on. Here with Marco Ricci. Currently chasing down Stefano Cinappi in the Porsche 911. Stefano definitely doing a good job to be in P7 in a minute with the driving the Porsche, as we saw our race leader for what was the majority of the race last time out just not able to keep the Porsche going in the right direction during qualifying. So great job to Stefano, because he's done a good job to get himself where he was in qualifying, and he's doing a good job of keeping the right way so far, but only 5 minutes gone and 55 minutes to go, so we shall see, especially when the tyres start to wear, as we see an Audi with a big tank slap in the background. Not sure he was able to save that. Hopefully he didn't take anybody with him. On board with Nicholas here as he's chasing down Marco Winkler. Nicely nice and fluorescent Aston there in front for him to chase down today. Won't have any drops seeing that through the spray kicked up from the back of the Aston. Jump back to our leaders here. As, looks like Alessandro's under a little bit of pressure from Marco Ripper in P3. This is great news for Stefan Zero out in front, because he's already managed to gain himself a 4-second advantage in just 6 minutes of the race. We knew he had the pace in him today. We can see that from qualifying and practice, but we were hoping the others could keep him in check for a little while just to give us a good fight for the lead. But looks like he's trying to check out early today. Looks like Alessandro's the one that's going to have the hard work on his hand, with Marco close onto his bumper, and really good exit for Marco there. Looks like there could be a chance, as Alessandro has to defend to the inside as they come down towards the hairpin. Defensive late line for Alessandro, trying to cover off any opportunity of the switchback, but it's a great inside out. Good exit from Marco. Is he going to be able to take it around the outside? Doesn't really favour him on this side of the track though, unfortunately. No, it didn't work this time out. Great little 1-2 inside out move from Marco there, but doesn't really favour him, with the next turn being quite a fast right-hander exit into a tight right-hander. He may be able to make a pass there in laps to come. He'll have to just try and think about how he can manage the position of his car to try and get himself on the right side. We saw Alessandro going a bit wide there, coming through the fast right-handers. That's where we've seen everyone struggling so far today, so good to see these guys still able to keep it on track so far. They jump back down to Quinn and Nicholas. They're still having a good fight down in P15 and 16 here. Part of the Minky Racing team, as I see. Jump back up the list here for Stefano, still doing a good job hanging on and holding off Marco and Marco. Just hope I don't get them the wrong way round. Do you believe Marco Winkler has actually made his way through? Because I thought it was Richie he was defending first of all, as it's already catching the commentator out here with them having the same first names. Thanks for that, guys. As I said earlier though, this car not the easiest to control in these conditions, so Marco's doing a really good job just to keep his pace up, let alone defend to two guys that are trying their hardest to make the positions up. Looks like he's done a good job of setting that car up, because we saw how much Ishmael was struggling through those corners, and his car seemed really stable through the fast right-handers there in that back section. Doesn't seem to be having any problems during that part of the circuit, so good on him, and hopefully he can keep that up as we jump back up to our P2, P3 fight here. Alessandro's still doing a great job to hold off Marco in P3. Zero out front is still extending his lead now, almost out to 7 seconds. I know it's early on in the race, only 10 minutes to go, but if he can continue to keep up even half that pace, he's going to have the win in the bag here today. Let's hope that's not a commentator's curse on the hands, but bar an incident or issue, it looks like he's really in the driving seat so far. Again, Marco going for that inside-out move and gives really good traction in the Merc, but unfortunately it just doesn't favour him on that side of the circuit. Alessandro's done a really good job at placing his car, because he's then favoured for the inside for these sort of two fast right-hander and then the tighter right-hander. There's no way around the outside. It's a longer route round. It's just not going to favour the Mercedes driver today. There are a few other places where you can obviously have a go at trying to make the pass, though that is obviously one of the easiest and most likely passing opportunities. The other ones are going to come at more of an opportunistic pass, I would say. So we're going to jump down to P12 here. As Tinko's right in the middle of this battle here between Dustin and Ishmael, as Ishmael has managed to make his way up from 17th position up to 13th, so he's done well. He's made sort of 4 places up so far, but I would have thought he's probably feeling a bit tentative in that car, seeing how much he was struggling during qualifying. Hopefully the additional weight on board for the race might actually help him out, keeping that car a little bit better grounded. Just that it's in the light fuel lows, maybe what was giving him an issue earlier. As you can see, the rather twitchy Audi there of Tinko. Very wide there for Ishmael. Going to struggle with the pass, as we see. Is it Dustin backing off there to let the guys past, or were we seeing a back marker there? I can't believe we were seeing back marker at this point. It's a little bit odd there. You'll see the timing screens catch up in a minute. And we're going to jump up to P5 here. Michael Springer doing a great job. Lovely purple and gold Bentley holding off Tommy. Tommy's done a great job so far. This was about where he started off, but that little mistake early on in the opening lap, he dropped back down to about 10th position, so he's done a really good job so far, making another 4 or 5 positions up, getting him back up to where he qualified. And he's got past his mate of Yuri, and now he's going to go on the attack for Michael to take back P5. And unfortunately, there's a bit of a gap then up to Manos in P4, so he's going to want to get past fairly sharpish if he hopes to make it further up the field. Bentley's looking quite stable so far around this track. He looks to be handling the curbs fairly well around here, as Yuri now is taking a... Oh, he thought he was going to have a look there at Tommy, and Tommy trying to go late on the brakes. A big squirm by the green and red striped Aston there of Tommy. We'll do a little bit on board with Tommy and give you a look at how things seem for him. See, obviously the closer he gets up to the back of Michael, the more spray he's got to contend with as well. I'm sure it's not bothering him too much, because I'm sure he's got really good track knowledge. Oh, a bit of a squirm there for Michael on the brakes, allowing Tommy to just ease up towards the back of him. Just showing that how hard it is for these guys today. And on top of the hard conditions, he's got the pressure from this man Tommy all over the back of him as well. Oh yeah, just trying to heel over to the left there, get back on the racing line. You see a big kick of oversteer from the Aston. In the back end likely as well, they're just locking up on entry. This looks like quite a nervous car for Tommy. Or maybe he's just pushing it a bit harder than it wants at this point, trying to get back up to the position where he started off in the race. Very close now. He's got a nice wide line here. If he can cut back and get a good exit, he can't. Michael's very well placed his car there, just really stopped him being able to get a good run out of this straight. Let's see how he does on the brakes here. Ideally you want to be able to go around the outside here because you want this inside line for these next set of the corners, but Michael's done a great job placing his car, not allowing that to happen. Now I wonder who that is. That is Zero. There has been a mistake from our race leader. Wow, you wouldn't have believed at the pace he had out front. We thought you'd think he'd be cruising and he wouldn't be pushing too hard at this point, but there he is in P4. That was our winner from last week, and our man flying away up the front is found himself in P4. So it's definitely another back marker, and he will not be moving over to give these guys position. He'll be wanting to refocus and get his foot back down on the pedal, because he's now going to find himself 10 seconds behind our race leader, who is our championship leader, Alessandro Porta. That's great news for him. I'm sure he's feeling great now, seeing that Zero made the mistake and he's put himself up in the top position to bag the most points. But with 45 minutes to go, there's definitely time for Zero to make that time back up, seeing how much he made in the first 15 minutes of this race. Be interesting to see, as look, already he's starting to gap this little group here. This may actually favour Michael here, because he can sort of see what sort of lines and whereabouts Zero's braking, gaining the time. This might just aid Michael pick up his pace as well a little bit. So yeah, if we have a look at the last lap time, Stefano's best lap was 1:43.2, and his last lap was a 2:06. So he lost a good almost 20, no, more than 20 seconds in that last lap. So it's unfortunate we didn't see where the mistake was made. Zero is car number 42. I will see if there is anything from unfortunately I don't see anything. You can have a look back in the highlights for that. Such a shame. I'd like to have seen what happens. Is being that far out in front, you wouldn't feel that he has the need to push quite that hard in these conditions. You know, it was really well in his hand. It was his to lose, and he's gone and done that. So he's going to have to redeem himself now. Hopefully we should see him do so. Yeah, going to jump back down the board here. P13. This is Dustin Wust, closely followed by Nicholas Rage. Oh, I do apologise. That is Ishmael. Yeah. Results board for me just not quite updating in time. Give you the correct information there. I do apologise for that. So it looks like with Alessandro up in front, he has managed to hold off. This is interesting because it was Marco that was pushing Alessandro for P2 earlier, and Marco is actually down in P3 with Manos up in P2. So whether Marco's had a bit of an issue as well, as he has dropped back a position and finds himself a good 7 or 8 seconds off where he was up in P3 earlier. That would have been P2. back up the order here a little bit. This is P9, Marco Ricci. Doing a great job, but looks like he's got back past Marco Winkler, who was ahead of him earlier, as Marco Winkler was having a go at Stefano Cinapi in P8 in Porsche. And it looks like the pair of them have dropped back, and Marco Winkler has dropped behind Marco Ricci again. So a little bit of jostling for position in the mid-orders, and I feel it's probably coming from mistakes more than clear-cut passes, especially with the conditions that we have today. As we've seen even the best out there do it. We're going to jump on board quickly here with Tommy and Michael again, because Tommy has managed to get himself up on the right side this time, coming out of that hairpin, and takes a little bit of a lunge down the inside there, but it was a good clean pass. But looks like he's had poor exit, as Michael has managed to square the car off on the sharp right-hander there, really get the power down, have a great exit to take that position back. Great driving by the two of them there, and well done for Michael to get that position back. I really think we've got a great race brewing here in for 5th, 6th and 7th position. These guys really close on lap time. Tommy eager to get back positions he lost earlier, and Michael is also very keen not to let Tommy have that position easily, so it'd be interesting to keep an eye on that. Also, we're going to take a quick jump back up top. This is Manos in P2, and you see Marco Ripper P3. Now Marco was right behind our race leader, or who is now our race leader earlier, so I wonder if it was a mistake or contact. We don't know at this point in time. I would guess possibly a mistake, or just clipped a curb the wrong way, as we've seen many do so far. He's going to have to make his way back up the order now, see if he can go chasing after our leader, who is currently 5 seconds ahead of these guys. So he needs to get a move on and get the pass done rather quickly. As you can see in the background there, Stefan Zero is going to be gaining on these guys. As we know the sort of lap times Stefan is able to do, and looking at their last lap times, 44.8, as we see Manos go. Oh, I just looked over the timing screen there, so I wasn't sure if that was a mistake or contact. Bad idea to go across the track like that. Oh, that was such a shame to see him do that. There was no need. He could have seen them coming. He's gonna commit some trouble for that. Let's jump on him to Michael. Yeah, it took Michael out. He was having such a good race. That is a real shame. We will see points for that. Oh, shame. He was doing a brilliant job at holding these two off. That was just not fair on those guys to do that sort of thing. You've got to think before you act, because you know you affect other people's races, and they work really hard for these races to, you know, have someone else come in and ruin your race for no fault of your own. It's a horrible feeling, you know. So, but we'll carry on, and that now promotes Tommy up to P4, because Manos was P2, has dropped to P9. Michael has dropped from P5 down to P10. So this has put Tommy and Yuri up 2 positions, and has also opened the way for Marco Ripper to go chasing after Alessandro, and for Stefan Zero in P3 to go chasing after the pair of them. Looking at their laps for the leaders, Alessandro doing a 45.1, Marco 44.7, and Stefan a 44.1. So looking at those last times, and I will keep an eye on them as we go through the race, we could see all 3 of these guys really close in the latter stage of this race, which is exactly what we want, and I'm hoping that they do. So I will keep an eye on that, as the gap hopefully and surely will continue to come down here, of course, the remainder of the race. Jump back over here to the 2 Marcos, just 1 second apart at the minute, closely followed by Manos, who, whether he made the mistake originally or not, we don't know. And of course we saw him drive back on track and unfortunately caused that collision for Michael. So currently Alessandro Porta out front has a gap of 4.5 seconds to Marco Ripper. Okay, I've got 3.5. This is 4.5. We shall see as it is rapidly changing. Last time around, about a half-second advantage to Marco Ripper, and a 10th faster for Stefan Zero. So again, we're definitely seeing that the two of them are closing in on a leader by about a half a second a lap. So we definitely will see the three of them together at some point, as we unfortunately just see their car going off in the distance. Was that Marco Winkler unfortunately making a mistake? He's lost a position there, handing P8 to Manos and P9 to Michael. It's a shame to see Winkler making a mistake there, but just showing how hard these conditions really are today. On board with Ishmael here. As we saw, he started off in last position today and has made his way up to 11th position so far, so 6 positions gained, so he's doing a really good job, seeing as the conditions are quite treacherous today. He's currently doing 1:46.7, his best lap 1:45.1. You can just see the difference compared from this round to the last, that he was the man setting the pace for the majority of the race, and now he finds himself over 2 seconds behind the fastest on the track today. It just shows how the conditions and how tracks can favour certain people, certain cars on the day. And here is Marco Winkler. Thankfully he was able to continue after the spin we saw in the background, and he's got Michael Springer just close behind him in P10. Unfortunately caught up in that instant we saw earlier when someone rejoined the track in a rather unsafe manner, and I'm sure Michael will be his blood will be boiling in that cockpit, but hopefully he can contain his fury for now and put his mind back to the job at hand and see if he can regain some positions and hopefully some championship points. And it looks like Yuri has made it up to P4, taking Tommy. So the two Astons battling for 4th and 5th, and it looks like Yuri has come out on top at the minute. Great job by Yuri, making his way up the field, but possibly a little bit far off for him to challenge for a podium position now, as those guys are about 10-12 seconds up the road. As you see now, the gap between P1 and P2 down to 3.5 seconds, and an additional sort of 1.3 seconds to Stefan. So those guys are still closing in, but that last lap Alessandro definitely able to up his pace a little bit, bringing his lap time down to a 1:44.5, Marco 1:44.3 and Stefano 1:44.0. So Stefan still the quickest of the drivers out there today, half a second faster than our leader, but not much to choose from P1 and 2 currently, so it's just a matter of whether Stefan is going to clear Marco before the pair of them catch the leader. Hopefully we'll see all 3 of them together quite soon. Someone we haven't seen much of today is Jerome. Unfortunately, he looks like he's one of the people that may have had an accident earlier in the race, and he may have retired and be in the pits, unfortunately. So going to jump on board our P3 man, which is Stefan, trying to make up lost ground from what happened to him earlier.
Keep it up.
As we hear there, we're now halfway through the race. That's 30 minutes gone with 30 minutes remaining. On board with Stefan here. As you can see, he's been slowly chipping away at Marco here. He's now got himself within that crucial 1 second. Now he's definitely going to have to show some control here, because he's going to be angry with himself for making that mistake early on. But he's got to try not to put the hammer down too much and make further mistakes, because he's not going to get another shot at trying to bridge the gap to the leader. This pair have brought the gap down from 5 seconds to 3 over the last few laps. They've definitely been just chewing away at his lead, nibbling away at his lead, shall I say, lap by lap. Another healthy half a second that last lap, as these two boys in P2 and 3 have managed to get themselves into the 143 bracket, so definitely the fastest guys on track right now, these two, with Marco setting his fastest lap of the race last time around at 143.9. Stefan doing a 143.5, a further 4/10 faster, but not quite his quickest, because Mark said Stefan has done the fastest lap of the race, was 7/10 faster than anyone, which is a 143.2. So clearly the fastest man out there today, but the fastest man does not always win the race. You need consistency to go along with that and not make any mistakes throughout the hour-long race. He has got time to redeem himself. As you can see, the leader now there, just in the distance, as that's down to 2.2 seconds. And again, they took even further, almost 8/10 out of their leader last time around. So looks like Alessandro is struggling. It's a big old kick of oversteer there for Stefan. Jump on board with Marco Ricci here, as Manos has reeled him in and is going to try and make some headway back up the field after his incident earlier. Currently in P8 and he was up in P2. It's unfortunate what we saw unfold, but he's got to put that behind him now and try and make the best of what time he has left to see what remaining points he can get from today. Trying to give you as much as I can as all the other guys out there, but there is a juicy battle going on at the front. We don't want to miss any goings on for the lead. So I am keeping an eye on that battle. Hopefully I will catch it before anything happens, because you're sure something will happen between the top 3 drivers before the end of the race. 25 minutes left. Those positions are not going to stay the same. And I think it is time to jump over, because these 3 boys are right on each other now. Poor lap by Alessandro that last time round, 145.4. He was 1.1 seconds slower than these guys. Pass is inevitable at this point, I think. But Alessandro knows how to defend. We've seen that so far, that he was able to hold Marco off earlier on. But the pace advantage now, as Marco and Stefan have had a bit of time in free air, and you know, they've really started to gauge the conditions and how the car's handling. They've got that extra pace underneath them, and whether they can use it now. Bit of a squirm there from Marco. Well controlled. A bit wide. So regained position there, back, Marco back on the attack now. Now I wonder what Stefan does in this situation, whether he's going to push to try and pass Marco, or he's going to let Marco have a go at Alessandro first, and just see if whether he can pick up an easy position without having to work too hard. Because Stefan definitely would have been working hard after that early mistake earlier. He'll have put his car and his tyres through a lot of work so far to make that ground back up, so he could probably do with just a little bit of a rest behind Marco. Let Marco do the hard work here. What we do is we'll have a look from Stefan's perspective here. Pulling out the slipstream there, trying to give himself a clearer view of things. Marco not able to push Alessandro to go too defensive there. A little alteration of brake bias there, I think, from Stefan. Quite understandable and not braking in a straight line through this section of the track. So it looks like Alessandro's just managed to pull an extra couple of car lengths through the back section of the course there. It'll be Marco that comes under pressure now, as Stefan is really gaining nowhere to go here into turn one. Oh, very close there. Stefan just able to stop the car in time, as there was almost contact between the P2, P3 drivers there. As we see there, looks like Marco got the run, and Alessandro has had no option but to give the inside to him. Now Alessandro's got to run it really deep around the outside here to keep the prime position on the inside, but it's been a great exit from Marco and a great pass. He's got the lead here now, he's got that prime position he wants to hold the position. Now that was a great job there by Marco. Well positioned his car. He got the run off the left-hander out on that first fast straight, just able to get the left-hand side and just really squared the corner off on the hairpin, and just managed to get the power down just right enough to give him the legs on Alessandro coming out. And a great pass there from Marco to take the lead. Now we'll as we'll see, Stefan here will have to try and respond to Marco's pass. Otherwise, the pace that we've seen Marco doing so far, Marco's going to try and clear off here. There we see already Stefano right up on the rear tail of Alessandro. We haven't seen any passes down into turn one. I don't think we're going to see any yet. That looked a little bit tight, well held by Stefan. Oh yeah, big slide. He's feeling the urgency to get past Alessandro here. Otherwise he won't have the chance to go chasing after Marco. But he's just got to calm it down. You know, let those tyres just cool off a little bit after that slide, and then just get back on the attack. Jump back on board with Marco. He's managed to hold Manos off for the last few laps. He's held on to that 7th position. He's doing a great job. Currently in the mid 145s, so this is a similar pace for Manos. So whether, I would assume Manos took probably a bit of damage with the contact earlier on in the race. We can see a small mistake there by Marco, just as I say that. Sorry for the commentator's curse. Allowing Manos to get up onto the back of Marco. Not quite close enough possibly for a slipstream down towards the hairpin here. We jump on board with Yuri and Tommy here. It looks like Tommy's having a go to get the position back. Looks like great corner exit speed off the sharp right-hander for Yuri, just able to keep the position there from Tommy. Tommy probably wise not to try go too abreast with his right-handers, especially in these wet conditions. As we have a look, it looks like Marco, as I said, a second faster than Alessandro that lap. And he's pulled 1.6 seconds already. And Stefano is going to have to try and pass Alessandro as fast as possible here if he wants a possibility to get back up and claim that first position he had led and disappeared off with so early on. I'm going to jump over to them because it's just 3/10 between Alessandro and Stefan. So it's Marco now in the driving seat out front. Almost 2 seconds up. Oh, really wide for Alessandro there, and Stefan follows him, but he's tried to close the door from off track there. You can't do that, you've got to leave him the space, and Stefan gets through. That's not really the way he would have wanted to do it, but he is through, and that is going to allow him to go chasing down after Marco. And there's only about a 1.7 second gap between them, so definitely hasn't let him get too far ahead, and definitely time left in this race to go chasing back after that number one spot. Didn't quite catch what happened there. I was looking over at the timing sheet. I'm sure you guys probably saw that was just understeering wide when they're aquaplaning. Conditions do look pretty bad out there, whether they're actually worsening over time. And possibly getting a few big puddles on the circuit. We'll see a bit of aquaplaning because they both seem to go quite wide there. Whether that was just Alessandro sucking Stefan into that one, it's always possible as well. So it's 2.6 seconds for P1, P2. So we shall, now that Stefan's got a clear track ahead of him, we shall see what sort of lap time he's able to do for the next couple of laps. Then jump back down as Marco still here in P7, holding off Manos. Just able to stretch that gap back out again, as we saw a little mistake from him a few laps ago. A little bit quicker from Manos, about a half second last time. As we see Manos spin off in the background. Well, he probably already had damage. He's probably got a bit more now. He's able to keep going, but yeah, we're not going to see him climbing the order any more than he has. We're going to jump back over to Yuri here. Just a half second between these guys. Yuri still holding on to P4, doing a great job in the Aston. Holding off to one of his good mates, Tommy. These guys practice and test and do setups together, so the guys know each other quite well, which also means they know what each other's capable of. They know how hard they fight and how they drive, so interesting to see how Tommy deals with this. Shame we didn't see the pass from Yuri earlier. But we'll see if Tommy's got anything left in him to get past Yuri. Know how strong a driver Yuri is. He's very consistent. We've seen him defend off 2, 3, 4 drivers all behind trying to get past, and he just hasn't cracked to the pressure. So Tommy's going to have to really work hard to try and find a pass somewhere today. So the gap out front come down just slightly. though not from the last lap, as Marco was 4/10 faster the last lap. So I would guess that Stefan has made some up this lap. I'm going to jump on board. Sorry, I got caught out by someone going into the pits there. Thought we were seeing a pass on board. And the helicam as we watched them come here through these fast right-handers. There's one. That one's not too bad. This is where it starts to get a little bit more tricky because you're sort of almost braking just as you come through the right-hander there, not able to straighten up before you hit the brakes. Out wide and then really tight right-hander there. Carry the momentum through. A fast left-hander to a 90-degree left-hander for the last corner. Tommy able to make up a bit of ground there, but a bit wide over those sleeping policemen won't have helped his exit. As we follow the two Astons down through turn 1 and 2. So, looks like a possible small mistake for Marco Ripper, who was sort of 2.6 seconds out at one point. Now down to 1 second, as he done a 1:45.0 last lap around compared to Stefan's 1:43.7. So, yeah, looks like a little mistake there from Marco, and a brilliant lap from Stefan has brought him right within breathing distance of the race leader now. And here they are with just 12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes or so to go. It was a 45.0 for Marco last time around. I'm sure there was a small mistake in that lap because he lost a good second to Stefan. 45.3 this lap, so still maybe just struggling now with those tyres. But Stefan was a full 1.2 seconds faster that last lap. Still, so he's really gaining now. Look, you just see him 0.2 off the back of Marco. He'll soon be coming around to his best opportunity as they go down the first long straight to the sort of fast hairpin left. It's all about the exit here onto the straight. A good exit by both, really. Not close enough here, really, for Stefan to make an opportunity down to the sort of fast hairpin here. So I'm going to just jump back here as Tommy has made the pass on Yuri. Oh, such a shame. We had just been following these guys that we missed that one. Whether it was a mistake, I would guess possibly for Yuri, as we left them. They weren't quite in the, one of the easiest passing opportunities, but maybe there was a pass and we just caught it there. Such a shame we didn't get that one on board, but well done to Tommy for capitalising. Got himself back up to P4. He definitely won't be able to make any more positions than that, but interesting to see whether Yuri's got anything left in the tanks to go charging after Tommy. Tommy's really putting the hammer down to try and break him early. 1.3 seconds between them. We'll keep an eye on that and see whether he's able to catch back up. We are going to jump back over to our leaders here, just 10 minutes to go. Stefan with a 1:44.8, Marco with a 1:44.6 that last time, so Marco's regained his composure and is back down to a lot more competitive lap times. He's gonna try and make this as hard as he can for Stefan. But we've seen mistakes by the both of them already. And at this point of the race, it's going to be a lot easier to make those mistakes. The tyres are more worn, you know, more mentally drained. They've been concentrating really hard, probably frustration for both of them, as we've seen, you know, mistakes by both of them falling down the order slightly. Probably more so for Stefan, as he was about 10 seconds out in front. Dropped back down to P4 and has slowly made his way back up to the front of the field. Just half a second off the leader now. Stefan has the lead. I am ever so sorry, I was looking at the timing screen watching the battle between Tommy and Yuri in P4 and 5 because they're really close as well, and I totally missed the pass. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Well, you guys saw what went on there. I'm sure whoever's rooting for Stefan is off their seats right now. And well done to Stefan. He has the lead back finally after probably a half an hour's hard work. Now it's 9 minutes remaining to keep hold of this position. We know he's got the pace, but he's got to show the consistency and not make a mistake to get to keep hold of this position, as Marco surely is not going to let this go. Such a shame I missed that there. I've got 2 screens to concentrate on, and hopefully you guys saw what happened, and maybe you can check that in the comments for me below. Now on that battle for P4 and 5, Yuri had closed within half a second of Tommy, but the gap has gone back out to 1.7 now. So I think Yuri had an attempt at getting back on par with Tommy, probably pushed a little too hard, and that gap's gone back out to sort of 1.5 seconds now. Enough time though for Yuri to recompose himself and go back on the hunt for Tommy and get that P4 back off him. Likewise here for Marco, it's not all over. We've seen that he's got the quick lap times in him. So looking at the lap times, Marco lost, he lost a good second at least on that lap. So is it quite possible a mistake from Marco that just allowed Stefan through to take the lead? As Marco's definitely not gone off, he's right there with him. Just a 10th between them those last laps. 10th in Marco's favour actually. Different points of the track sort of favour the others. Stefan's very good through those first couple of corners. Marco's really good off some of these traction zones, especially coming off the end of this straight here. So Stefan carrying that advantage now up to 1.1 seconds. We're going to jump back on board with the Astons fighting here for 4th and 5th currently. Here with Yuri, as we see a nice little bit of counter steer there for the back end sliding. You guys can't have much tyre left, especially in these temperatures and conditions. And the lead is back down to 0.7 of a second, so Marco really isn't giving up yet. Just 5 minutes to go now. And if he's going to try something, he's going to have to try it now as the car got back towards the track. Well saw by Yuri there, just pulled over just a little bit, didn't let the car run out wide just in case the Audi came back on the track, but well held by the Audi to not come back in front of Yuri. board here with Michael Springer, got himself up into P8 after that unfortunate incident earlier, as we see one of the Astons going way wide sideways there in the background. Shame what happened to Michael earlier, as he was doing a really good job holding off Tommy and Yuri for P4 or 5 it was at the time, I believe. He won't be happy, but at least he'll be happy he knows he had the pace to be up there at the sharp end with these guys. Hopefully he'll have more luck in the next round. Likewise for all these guys, it's been a really hard job for them today. The weather has not been on their side, and it couldn't be much worse. It seems there's been a little bit of aquaplaning for some of them, but definitely has not been easy, and we've seen that for the best of them, with Stefan making the mistake early on when he had the lead 10 seconds up. We didn't catch the mistake, but we saw him drop back from P1 to P4 even when having a 10-second lead, and has made his way back up into P1 by help of, you know, others making mistakes and some great passing. He's, you know, very brilliantly, and you know, hats off to him to keep his composure and, you know, really get his head down and go back for that position and actually get back up into that position. It's really class act of the tier at the minute. No one's really able to hold anything to him. That is, apart from Marco. Marco is really matching him here, lap for lap on pace. We'd like to see Marco have another go at it. He's got just under 3 minutes now. There's not going to be many more laps or opportunities to have a go. If he's got anything left, now is the time to show it. See, rolling off their way before the braking point, just to keep the car stable through the fast right-handers. From P2's position, perspective. Very tentative at the first turn there. Conditions look even more treacherous here on board with these guys than it does from our TV cameras. And this is one of his best chances here. It's a good exit for Stefan and not a good exit for Marco. Real sideways on exit there. Real shame that he's not going to have the ability to try for the pass on this lap. Possibly going to have now one more lap to try, and he's going to have to spend all this lap just chipping away at that advantage to see if he can get back on terms with Stefan for one last chance at taking the position back. Board with Michael here, still doing a good job holding off Manos. I do apologise, that's not who we're seeing on screens. I believe it might be actually a back marker there behind him, because that is not the Porsche of Ishmael. Looks like the Aston or possibly Manos. Oh, mistake for Yuri in the final few laps. Hopefully able to not lose another position, just a bunch of time, probably pushing to try and get back on and have one more shot at Tommy.
Alright man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
That's the final lap for the leaders. Great advantage for Stefan at this point. He's got a second in hand. can see Marco really trying everything to close the gap. This is his opportunity, bit squirmish there, trying to get the power down. This is their best passing opportunity, really carries as much speed through there as he can. It's the closest he's been for a while now, down to half a second. Not close enough to try anything here. He's just going to have to try and intimidate Stefan here into a possible mistake. Unless he can get close towards the end of the lap. There are a couple of opportunities where he could make a pass. He's really good exit off this sharp right-hander. And then there's the treacherous fast right-handers. And there is a possibility of an overtaking mistake in the hairpin after these. But I don't think he's quite close enough this time. No, he's not close enough. He's not going to get it now. This is definitely going the way of Stefan, who's done a great job, really great job to get back what he lost earlier on. With such an advantage, and made all that way back after dropping back to P4. Great win for Stefan. That's 2 races in a row, and that we could see him take the championship lead after that. Alessandro down in P3, possibly not quite, but he's really going to close the gap now at the closing races of the season, as we see our current championship leader P3. Good job from Alessandro. Tommy here had a good quali result. Unfortunate mistake early on in the race, saw him drop to P10, but another great job of getting his way back through the field to finish back up in P4. Yuri also, we saw him take that position from Tommy, but unfortunately lost it back to Tommy and had to take the P5, but still a great result for him. Stefano, we haven't seen too much of him today. He's been just quietly minding his own business, doing his thing, bringing the Porsche home. Great result for the Porsche in these horrible conditions of P6. Comes Marco Ricci in the Mercedes. Great job for Marco, finishing P7. Michael Springer, you've got to feel sorry for him, doing a great job up in the top 5 earlier, taken out through no fault of his own. Still great job for Michael. Hopefully we see more great racing from him next time out. Ishmael, not been the greatest of events for him. Struggled here in these wet conditions here at Misano. Hopefully we'll see him back on pace and up the front next time out. Marco Winkler close behind, heavily damaged Audi there, but managed to bring it home in the end. Dustin West not quite finishing, it looks, but quite possibly he had already finished and passed the line. And one more, and Audi of Tinko there. My apologies. The rest are in the pits. So the win goes to Stefan, and P2 to Marco, and 3rd place to Alessandro. Nice bit of formation driving there, guys. Thank you for that. Lovely picture, lovely to see. Been great respect from these 2 drivers, and great racing for us to watch here at Redline Motorsport. And there you have it, guys. It's been a great race. It's some great action, although it has been quite awkward and hard conditions in the damp conditions here at Misano. Congratulations to Stefan, Marco and Alessandro for the podium positions. And we shall see you back in 2 weeks for another sprint race, and this will be at Zandvoort. Another great track to drive around. Quite tricky to pass, but it'll be great for the drivers to race around, so that'll be interesting, and I shall see you there. I've been Jake, your host and your commentator, and I shall see you next time.